Hey guys, here's what it comes down to. Have things gotten so bad that some people are willing to tolerate some crimes in order to prevent others? As soon as you come into this boat launch, you see a sign on the booth, "Ice not safe," and this is proof of it. One thing to hear and even believe that cops have to make these very big decisions in a very small amount of time. It's another thing, however, to actually experience it. Volunteers continue to pound the pavement in Detroit, hoping to find 2 missing children. You normally get a loan to buy a new car or a house, but how about a weave? Take a good look at what's left of this house, a historic mini mansion in Boston Edison, reduced to rubble. And the question tonight, could this have been avoided? Could this house have been saved? The homeowners say undoubtedly yes. Police were told that one of the suspects was spotted here at this beauty supply shop. They were hoping to get a good look at the guy through the surveillance video, only to find out late tonight the camera doesn't work. There's a chance there could be another sick out on Monday as DPS and more than 20 teachers face off in court. That was good stuff. At least Scherzer, he was cool about it. The moment you step out of your apartment building or car, you can smell the remnants of that massive warehouse that caught fire last week. And many are wondering if the air they're breathing is safe. That shootout on Detroit's west side sent 5 people to the hospital, and this is how it all ended. Those hot spots are still burning pretty good. In fact, you can see the orange glow from the flames right behind me. Amazingly, he survived this explosion, and I say amazingly because right across the street, take a look at this. This is some of the vinyl siding from the house from this explosion. This cop says the explicit come-ons began when she first started working for Allen Park PD in 2000. They died down soon after, but ramped up about 4 years ago. This all started when that woman was rear-ended on King Street in Riverview. She lost control of her SUV and then drove straight into this retention pond. So trying to zero in on the man who was spotted driving Kajavia Globe's car and using her ATM card at this Fifth Third Bank on 7 Mile and Telegraph on Friday. He was wearing a mask, and now Governor Snyder offered another apology and owned up to the water crisis, bearing the bulk of the responsibility for what's happening here in Flint. That, however, was not enough to fully restore the public trust. DEQ and Marathon Oil got an earful tonight. Mayor Mike Duggan tore into both of them. He's threatening to take legal action, and the people who live near this refinery are hoping and praying the emissions hike proposal is shot down. Hey guys, here's what it comes down to. Have things gotten so bad that some people are willing to tolerate some crimes in order to prevent others? Cops will tell you that the street code is a slippery slope. Those who wrote it, though, will say that this is simply being realistic about crime in Detroit, and they are not advocating or endorsing violence.
Ain't nobody else losing babies the way black people are losing babies. Nobody. It's time for us to get our together, realistically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Hence the street code, a 10 commandment of sorts codified by New Era Detroit in hopes of bringing some order to the chaos that is Detroit crime and prayerfully save a few lives.
And too many people are innocent people are getting killed behind that.
Rule number 1, no drive-bys.
You always hear the story about they're never getting a target, they're getting some innocent baby or they're getting some innocent teenager.
6-month-old Miracle Williams and 3-year-old Anaya Montgomery are 2 glaring examples. Killed by stray bullets, neither the intended target. The code gives crooks parameters to do their dirt, outlawing shootings in neutral territories like concerts and parties, and selling dope to pregnant women and children. It's urging people to settle their beefs away from churches and schools, and armed robbers to not shoot their victims.
We don't we don't approve of robbery. We think, again, that's why we said we think it's cowardly. However, if you're going to do it, don't kill the victim. You know, you already victimizing this person. You're already taking things from them. At least do not kill this person.
That's not an option. How about no robberies at all?
Detroit Police Chief James Craig. The street code, according to New Era Detroit, I'm guessing you're not a fan.
I think it's well-meaning, but there's some very key points that are left out. Have we become so desensitized to violence or crime that certain crimes are okay? The code addresses these safe zones or off-limit neutral zones where we don't shoot. Well, What about just no shooting, period?
I don't think we should shoot each other. I don't think we should rob each other. I don't think we should steal from each other. Any of those things. But the reality of it is, those things are inevitable to happen. Only thing we can do is try to mitigate it, and we also can try to save innocent lives in the process for those who are going to commit those crimes.
I believe that they're trying to come up with a solution so that we can't have these horrific, tragic situations involving dead children. Certainly none of us want to see that, but we got to go beyond that.
Now, Police Chief James Craig says he's had a number of dialogues with New Era Detroit. He says the group does a lot of good work in the community, and he considers its members allies in making Detroit a safer city. But he says even though it is well-intentioned, the street code misses the mark. Those are his words, but he says he is up to help the New Era Detroit revise the street code if they're willing to do it. Huel, Taryn?
Fox 2's Randy Wimbley live outside the Fox tonight. Randy, that's a pretty large crowd out there.
A very large crowd, but things here went off without a hitch. DPD had its mounted patrol out just in case things got out of hand. That, however, did not happen. The protesters have cleared out, but this stretch of Woodward was packed a couple of hours before the debate. Hundreds of protesters flooded Woodward Avenue in front of the Fox Theater. They took aim at not only the GOP frontrunner,
you want to be my president, act presidential,
but the general perception of the Republican Party's platform.
We reject their economics, their politics. We reject everything that says that Americans that work hard every single day don't have a rightful place in this society.
Today, you need to stand with us and let us know that you for $15 an hour and a union.
We're not asking for them to give us a handout or a charity of anything of that nature. We work, we sweat. We want 15 on our checks.
Protesters say while Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton have been vocal about police brutality, income inequality, and more recently the Flint water crisis, Republican candidates have been nearly silent.
How can you want to be the president of America and you haven't said absolutely anything about the greatest tragedy in an American city like Flint, Michigan?
Do you think they can get their message across to any of the candidates? Or to the Republican Party?
You know, we've been trying to get that message across for years.
Ray and Andrew McLemore, two Republicans, say some of these protesters are onto something.
There are some African Americans that are Republican, and we've been in those meetings saying, you know, you have to come across the table. You have to come across the line. You have to reach out.
And it doesn't make it any easier when your frontrunner has trouble disavowing David Duke and the KKK.
Well, I did hear him denounce it earlier. I think he did a very poor job of responding when he was on CNN and didn't answer the question properly.
And lastly, a message from Rodrigo Padilla to Trump. Here's your wall.
Donald Trump is crazy. If he do the president, the USA go down because he's no good. He's nothing good.
So I'll talk to a couple of other Republicans other than the two you just saw in that piece. I posed the same question to all of them. What happens within and to the GOP if Donald Trump gets the nomination? The same response from every single one of those guys. We don't know. We'll just have to wait and see, and that we will. Live in downtown Detroit, I'm Randy Wimbley, Fox 2 News. Yeah, Huel, in most cases, firefighters know exactly where those problem hydrants are, but in the cases that they don't, well, the city of Detroit will be coming out with an interactive map showing every single fire hydrant in the city, including the locations of those defective fire hydrants. Now, they will be repaired really soon, but here's the catch. Had those faulty hydrants had been repaired in the few days or weeks or months even after they were first reported, then the few people would have been spared a great deal of pain. Tears on their faces and their feet on top of rubble. Faulty fire hydrants cost Detroiters their homes.
Let's go around one more time.
And now the fix, years in the making, is underway. The city of Detroit is resurrecting efforts to repair and replace hydrants on the fritz. Detroit's chief operating officer, Gary Brown, says there could be as many as 500 out of whack.
We recognize that we've had an issue. We're coming out of bankruptcy, and you know there's been a decade or more of not investing in our infrastructure, and now we're in a position to invest in it.
In the coming weeks, firefighters will inspect roughly 30,000 fire plugs, and the city's water department, as well as contractors, will make the needed repairs.
She had a two-car garage right across the street, and I watched it completely burn down because this fire hydrant wasn't working, and neither was that one.
Etoria Montgomery watched firefighters hook up to hydrants blocks away because the one in front of her house on Detroit's east side has not been working for a year and a half.
I actually called them like, okay, is somebody going to come out about the fire hydrant? They're like, well, yeah, we're going to take care of it by being so cold. Just give us a minute to take care of the hydrant. And now they're just now getting to take care of it. So,
a year later.
A year later.
Not a good system in place. I mean, not good communication between the people that were inspecting them, the fire department, with the people that actually fixed them, the water department. We've resolved those communication issues.
Before then, Detroiters have been paying the price for that breakdown in communication with their homes.
The fire chief himself said that the house could have been saved if the hydrants were working.
Hayward Graves lost his century-old Colonial in Boston Edison in February. Nearly 2 weeks later, and about 2 miles away, firefighters responded to another blaze on Monica Street, only to find the 2 hydrants closest to the house fire were frozen. And a few days before that, faulty hydrants hampered efforts to save this home on Sorrento.
We need the fire hydrants. You have to fight fires. That's the only way you can fight it. I can't use my hose off the side of my house.
The city of Detroit is turning the page on that ugly chapter. Here's to hoping brighter days are ahead.
I'm very excited about them fixing the fire hydrant. Even though it took a year and a half to do it, it's done.
Now, Hill, this is obviously a big deal because when you talk about this line of work, putting out fires, the Detroit Fire Department is second to none, but they cannot do their jobs effectively when they don't have working fire hydrants. The city is not too sure yet just how much this effort will cost, but they say you can't really put a price tag on this because this is all about safety. Yule? The gloves have come off in the fight over teacher sickouts. The next round will play out in a courtroom, but chances are it won't be settled there. DPS Emergency Manager Darnell Early is drawing a line in the sand. He's seeking a temporary restraining order as a remedy to the sickouts. 88 schools were shut down Wednesday because of them.
We're going to continue the fight. We will find a way to continue this fight. And I don't think an injunction has any room here at all.
Former Detroit Teachers Union President Steve Kahn is one of the 28 defendants named in the lawsuit. DPS says the sickouts are depriving students of their right to attend school, are adversely impacting their academic progress, and forcing parents to miss work.
My job that I got fired from can't jeopardize their money or their funding to say, oh, well, DPS has a sickout, sure. You can call off for 4 days.
Tawny Cook says she was fired from her job of less than a year last week. Her 4 children attend Burton International Academy, and she says as of Wednesday, they've missed 4 days of school.
I feel for that parent, and if there's anything I can do to help her get a job or get her job back, I would do it. But we have to stand up for what is right.
Teachers say the stakes are too high for them to let up now. They've worked years without raises while watching their insurance rise. Teachers are leaving the district and class sizes are swelling, and the conditions in many school buildings are deplorable.
120,000 children that live in the city of Detroit deserve better. And it's time for us to go down in history saying that we stood up for it because they've taken everything. They've taken everything.
It would seem teachers are more than willing to break a court order if the judge greenlights the injunction.
It's amazing that DPS wants to fight in this way. We're gonna stand with our teachers. We're gonna represent them. There are big issues going on that they're trying to call attention to.
But Emergency Manager Darnell Early says the sickouts are not the way to do it. He released a statement saying closing schools for reasons such as today and on previous dates further jeopardizes the limited resources the district has available to educated students and address the many challenges it faces. We have heard teachers' concerns and identified short and long-term solutions to several key issues. Now, a court date has not been set, but a lawyer for one of the teachers named in that lawsuit says the sure way to defeat a possible injunction is for teachers to call another sickout Thursday. Stay tuned. I'm Randy Wimbley, and this is The Edge.